and welcome to A Good Walk Spoiled Adventures in Golf with your host, Scott Ponywaz, also known as Pony Golf. A Good Walk Spoiled is part of the Millions.co and Golfer Gang networks. Thank you for tuning in. Let's swing into this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of A Good Walk Spoiled. I am excited for today's episode, which I think is going to be helpful for a lot of the new golfers out there. And I think a few of you that are experienced golfers are also going to enjoy this episode because you're going to appreciate some of the stories I think that I share in here. I mean, some of these are kind of some worst case scenarios, but I think they'll be entertaining nonetheless for you as listeners, regardless of your golf level. And before we jump in, I do want to invite you to subscribe and follow along on future episodes. I also hope that many of you were able to catch my last episode. If you missed it, Lance Reeder of Crank Golf was on, and just a fantastic interview with him. He's just such a kind guy for sharing his time with the A Good Walk Spoiled podcast. And if you didn't listen to it, I think you want to, because as many of you know, or some of you may know, Bryson DeChambeau is now playing crank drivers by choice, not by sponsorship. And Lance Reeder, as the founder of Crank Golf, was alongside him on that final day at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst a couple weeks ago, and he shared the true story, not the golf media story that was quickly floating around as Bryson rushed to the tee and was changing driver heads, where they were saying that he broke his driver head or some other thing. He was actually adjusting face angles, and so very much worth a listen for that story, as well as his adventures through the world of long drive golf. He has one of the longest drives on record, at least at the time. It was right up there too, but it's 526 yards, which I can't imagine driving the ball over 5 football field lengths. So check that last episode out. Also, check the library of some previous episodes. There's some great ones that I had. The one before that was on golf mindset and golf psychology. Really can help you make leaps and bounds. There's Matt Minder from the Amateur Players Tour. There is another episode with a fish fan and guy who runs golf tournaments for fish fans, which Jonathan is just an awesome dude as well. Super fun, a little quirky kind of conversation that goes outside of the normal standard golf shows, I think. And there's a lot of good stuff. Oh, and had Tim from the MSGA, that's the Montana State Golf Association, doing a preview. And as I head into the men's amateur this weekend, actually, this is recorded and being released the day before. Well, I'm playing my practice round on Wednesday afternoon, and then the tournament kicks off 54 holes on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. It is the state am, and as a 40-year-old, I tend to prefer the competition in the mid-am when you're not going up against all the high school 18-year-old college kids. But it will still be a fun tournament at a great venue. From what I've been told, Laurel Golf Club in Laurel, Montana is supposed to be pretty great. So, that's a little recap on my world. I also apologize for some of the background here for those of you watching the YouTube. My dog, unfortunately, had an accident. He's laying right next to me. A little emergency hip surgery after a little run-in truck. He's kind of living down here and keeping him in a contained area, so in my office area. But Here we go on this episode today. I am going to walk through a top 10-ish. I think there's actually 11 in here, and some of those are probably subs as well. But basically, 11 key points for newer golfers to make the best of your day, and some just basic rules, etiquette that will help you get you on your way. And just having had some recent experiences lately, I just felt it was a good time to make this episode. We'll return to having some interviews here. I've got quite a few actually that are in editing and backlogged and scheduled, and so there's a lot of great ones ahead. So stay tuned to those. But yeah, today's episode is going to be a pretty fun one, I think, for new golfers, and very informative for new golfers and entertaining for existing golfers. So best of both worlds. And I do want to thank millions.co. They actually have some other exclusive interviews that I think I've teased on my Instagram. But if you also head to millions.co/Scott_Ponywaz, I'll drop that link in the description. Millions has the new hats, the shirts, the hoodies. I also want to thank another partner of mine, Holderness and Born. These shirts finally came in, so I had them printed, but I've been starting to do started to work with Holderness and Born, which I'm really excited about. So they have a whole box of great gear that they sent me, and I will showcase those here soon. But yeah, I've already been wearing a lot of their stuff regardless. But as an example, this quarter zip top is perfect, and a Holderness and Born top. But you can also shop those in my link that's in my description in the podcast, YouTube as well. Greatest golf apparel on the market now. The pants are super comfortable. Can't say enough about them. And then also have to thank Galway Bay and the other advertising sponsor or advertisers that are showcased on the podcast. So thank you to all those people. They're helping me continue to keep this thing alive. They're anytime you're planning to go buy some new apparel, go check my links, make a purchase through me, buy a new pony golf hat, start sporting it, tell your friends about the podcast, the very least. So if you don't have dollars to help me with, the best you can do is give it a little like and leave a comment and share it with your friends and family. I'd be beyond grateful. So enough of that stuff. I think it's now time to head into this week's episode. So let's chip this one up here. I don't know what that was. I couldn't think of anything on the spot. I was trying to be. All right, here we go. Out here testing out this rain gear. It works. Your pants. I'm just very impressed. Look at that water just beating off of it. As you can see, the rain is coming down. Not a very beautiful day in the neighborhood, but still out here. Finishing a couple holes. Enjoying the new Galway Bay gear. Gotta practice like you play sometimes. So, spring in Montana. Gotta love it. Just not being followed or paid attention to, or they're just on vacation and they're having fun, or they're not at their home course, and so they think the rules are more loose. And My home course also happens to be a resort course. So sometimes it's the family looking for something different to do, which is great. By all means, get the kids out there, get the significant other that doesn't always play golf out there, and welcome them into the world of golf. But the more the merrier, as long as the greens fees don't keep going up. However, when it does get frustrating is when people don't know some of the basics or don't understand some of the importance of basic play. And a lot of times I sneak out after work, and as a resort course, sometimes I'll play as a solo, or sometimes, I will be able to get around in with some buddies. But a lot of times, especially during the week, I just find myself, and I am randomly on a Tuesday afternoon, because it's a resort course, people are on vacation, especially in the heart of summer. There are no tee times, and so I'm randomly paired up with a threesome, and totally fine with that, because I like to meet new people and get to know new people, and that's all fun and games. But when it sometimes does get frustrating is when um, the rules of the road aren't necessarily being adhered to or paid attention to, and there's certain things where I'm sure certain people will say things about, well, maybe the golfer should police it better, which, yes, I agree, but sometimes it's challenging unless you're really out there with it. So I thought, for those that are new to the game, here's sort of like the high level beginner's guide to being a good playing partner on the course, and also being a good steward of the game across the course, so that everybody behind you also gets to enjoy it. So this is by no means a full list, so I definitely want you all to add your comments, tell me which ones I'm missing, share your stories of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I just have so many of these times where myself and friends, we joke that, like, you get the, I'm on vacation and I paid good money to play today, so I'm gonna hit every shot, look for every ball, and by golly, if I'm out there for 6 hours, I paid for it, and I'm getting my money's worth for every single shot I paid for. So, for sure, yes, get your money's worth, have a good time, enjoy your day, but keep in mind there are other people behind you that are also trying to enjoy their day on the golf course, and hopefully these tips will help some people get up to speed, and we'll get you out there and enjoying the game as well. So without further ado, here comes the list, and I almost feel like I should do this David Letterman top 10 style and be throwing my cards, but I didn't have the preparation for that. So the number one is repair your divots and ball marks. You want to leave the course in better shape than you found it. Let me repeat that for those of you in the back. No matter what skill level you are, repair your divots and your ball marks. Tip for another day would be how to repair ball marks. Push it in, don't lift it up. If you lift it up, it'll start to break roots. But there are plenty of other short videos on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok properly. Go look it up if you don't know. And with the divots, if you have divot sand, fill those. If you're on a par 3, even if you didn't make the divot, fill in some sand or some seed, and leave the course in better shape than you found it. Even if there's people that didn't do it, you can leave it best for the people behind you. Be ready to play your next shot. Call this ready golf. So be ready to play your shot, get distances, think about what club you're going to hit, look at the wind, throw the grass up in the air, or, do the old fluff with Tiger Woods, light the cigarette, hold it up in the air to make sure you got the wind readings correct. But when it is your turn and other people are preparing for their shots, hitting their shots, that's when you can be doing all this stuff yourself. Cart golf, this is one of those things where you see a lot of times, drop one guy off or one lady off for their ball on one side of the fairway, and then take the cart over to the other side of the fairway, but make sure that, the person either has their club or they're, sitting there with their rangefinder figuring it out, so that when the one person hits, the other person is ready for the cart to come back over, grab that club, and be able to swing off. But do some of that player management so that, it's not, okay, I'm sitting here watching my buddy hit their shot for 3-4 minutes, and then we're going to go over and I'm going to go through my pre-shot routine and figuring out distances and all that kind of stuff. You can do all that much more efficiently. So play efficiently. The next one, play from the right tees, front, middle, back, or somewhere in between. It used to be that the reds were the ladies' tees, or it's no longer that situation. I wish that more courses would do something where they basically had a sign on the first tee that said, if your handicap is X, Y, or Z, play these tees, or if it's A, B, or C, play these tees. If they assigned handicap ranges to tees, I think everybody would enjoy the game so much better and be much better off and feel less pressure, especially in groups of friends to play different tees. I think it's unfortunately more with the masculine ego. I hate to say it. I see it more frequently on that side of the fence, but I do know that there has been more of a understanding and acceptance that just because you're a guy doesn't mean that you need to be playing the blue tees or the back tees. So play the ones that are aligned with your playing level. If you're a new golfer, and I just saw this the other day, two people that had never played a real golf course in their entire life. Again, the tourists at the resort course, they had never played a real golf course in their entire life. And their buddy that had played, he must have been probably like a 25 handicap. He was like, let's play the middle tees. And with the middle tees, there's more course carries, there's a lot more tall grass that comes into play, and all this other stuff that just slows everybody down and keeps them from enjoying the game better. And with them, I do have to actually give them a hand, because at one point they finally decided, like, hey, we're going to all tee off from the same tee, and then whoever hits it the farthest, we're going to drop our ball there, and then we're going to start playing better ball, keep up pace play. I greatly appreciated that, because for a new golfer on a big course, after a few holes, they finally decided, like, hey, we'll just play sort of a best ball situation, almost scramble like. So good change of play there. Like, great ideas for newer golfers to play that type of golf. Like, if you're hitting the ball, flubbing it a little bit, like, I can even say my partner, she is just picking up the game, and I think usually after about 5 or 6 holes, she's bored to death of golf, because it's tapping a ball a couple shots and doing that. But on the 4th of July, played on the scramble event and actually loved it, because it was one of those situations where you don't have to hit all 10 shots on a hole or whatever it is. You're working on the chipping, and she was able to work on chipping and was having shots that were getting used chipping and putting, and the occasional drive when she did connect was actually a great drive. But so you don't, as a new golfer, you don't have to feel like you have to play 100% by the rules. And as new golfers in a group, you can do some of these things where it keeps the pace of play moving, and you're all getting shots and hopefully less frustration, but still getting to enjoy playing the course. Keeping up with the group in front of you. So another one that's very important is, just because a round of golf should take 4 hours according to math, not every course should a round of golf take 4 hours, and you shouldn't necessarily always use that. Golf courses, sometimes my parents' course growing up, if you play over 3.5 hours, everybody's complaining that it was really slow that day. So, and people are walking. So, different courses have different paces of play. Just because it's 4 hours doesn't mean it should be 4 hours on every course. So the most important thing with pace of play is keeping up with the group in front of you. So if you start to see your group lagging, and this is also the same in tournament golf, a lot of tournaments will put this kind of rule in play. If you're more than a full hole behind, you often will start to get penalized strokes. In a tournament, if you're on a public course and you're seeing a full hole ahead of you, with some exceptions, like you might come off of a par three, which can oftentimes be a little slower hole play because there's a lot going on. You have to wait, and then there's sort of an accordion effect that happens. But then you kind of come off that hole and you skedaddle a little bit because the next group might already be up on the green by the time you're coming off of a par three. There's chipping, there's putting, there's a couple strokes that can happen on par three. But either way, if you're starting to see yourself a full hole behind the group in front of you, you got to pick it up. You got to start to skedaddle. You got to, be prepared to hit your shots. You got to play very ready golf. Step up to the next tee. Whoever's ready, tee off. Get the ball moving down the fairway. Get your group moving off the tee. Get them caught up with the group ahead of you. Don't go and take a bathroom break. Don't go visit the bar cart and go, get more cocktails when you're starting to fall behind. You want to always be with that group in front of them. This is another one that I just don't. I'm having a very hard time grasping because I've been seeing it more and more on public courses, and this is not only the course that I play at with the resort course where you get a ton of these bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, or family reunions, or wedding parties, or whatever it is, where people kind of feel like they have this woe is me, the world revolves around me. But group sizes on the golf course are maxed out at 4 people. It doesn't matter if you and your girlfriends or guy friends or whatever couples, you want to play in a six-some because you have 3 couples, and you want to play in a 5-some because somebody else joined you last minute, or whatever that is, or you don't get to the second tee and your 2 bachelor party groups form an 8-some on the second tee. That's not okay. It's like trying to walk down the sidewalk when a group of 8 people are blocked across. You don't move any faster because you combine tee times. You're all waiting on each other to shoot. It's painful for the people behind you because they're sitting there waiting. It all starts to back up, and it's just super painful. So this has been happening more than you can imagine, and it happened to me earlier in the golf season when I was playing at the local Bozeman course. But the other day, actually, it's happened now twice within the past 2 weeks for me. So the first one was 2 groups of these ladies, threesomes, playing a women's league at a different course together, and they booked back to back so that they could play as a 6-some. Me, as a single, I booked that open slot, and unfortunately, I ruined their day. Somehow, on the second or third hole, they were like, if you want to go play ahead, we were planning on playing with the group behind us. We were planning to play as a 6-some, and I was suddenly made to feel like I did something wrong, which was not the case. And then on top of that, the course as well told them no group 6. Similarly, I got stuck behind a 5-some the other day. It was one of the first groups off on a busy Sunday morning. They had 4 sets of clubs and they had 3 carts. And the 5th person that was the ride along just so happened to decide to play, it seemed like, and was riding for fun, but ended up playing. So I was with a group of 3, and we were, right on their tail. Eventually, I saw that the next group, when they were getting off 4, was heading to the 8th tee. Extremely painful. So I just, basically said as I finished, I picked up my ball and I skipped holes, and I just basically went on to play the rest of my round on a wide open course because the group that had already gotten to the 8th groups ahead of them were moving quickly, and were a couple holes of that in front of them because there were 2-somes and whatever in front of the 4-some on the 8th hole. So that 4-some on the 8th hole, mind you, was also what would potentially be a slower moving group. It was an elderly couple and their 2 kids, and slow moving on and off the greens, but their pace of play was astronomically faster. I ended up seeing them when they were finishing the ninth hole 2.5 hours after their start time. 8:30 tee time on a Sunday morning. Just no excuse for that at all. Playing that slow. But anyway, again, you could say something about the course having better management, but I'll save those comments for another day. So the next one, and this goes for a lot of new golfers as well as experienced golfers, but 3 minutes max for your golf ball search. This is in tournament play rules. This is in casual play rules. And honestly, there are a lot of times when I'm playing with these slug groups and I'm helping them find their balls, but when it comes time for me, like, it's a golf ball. If I put mine into some tall grass that I know is going to be brutal to find, I'll just toss a ball down and take my penalty stroke and move on. And unless I see it sitting on top, I'll take a quick gander. If it's not right in the area, after 30-second minute look, drop it, move on. And this is especially if you're newer to the game and you're playing courses where you're losing a lot of balls or whatever. Take a look, but this is why they sell reusable, or not reusable, but used golf balls, not range balls. Do not use range balls. This is why they sell used golf balls that are dirt cheap, so that when you're newer to the game, you don't need a Pro V1. You don't need some top new technology, because you're going to probably end up losing more golf balls than you finish the holes with. So get used golf balls. Search for 3 minutes. Obviously, if you're a stronger golfer and you're playing a match play or something that matters, sure, use your 3 minutes, but also keep in mind paces of play. And tournament golf, yes, I understand if you're going to use your 3 minutes maximum, because it's tournament. It's different. And that's why tournament golf is also often 5 to 6 hour rounds, which is also brutal, but it's a part of tournament play. Casual play, drop a ball, move on. No need to go digging. If you find a ball near where yours was, pick it up, play it, whatever, move on. Cut your losses. I almost had the little slip there about you can get range balls. Do not ever use range balls on the actual golf course. Most courses have a sign that says don't steal range balls to be used on the course. So it just makes golf more expensive for the rest of us. It's crazy that a bucket of balls now is like $12 plus, or I've even seen like $20 for a bucket of balls that basically get recycled. But the problem is people are stealing them, and that makes it more expensive. So don't use range balls on the golf course. Do not use them anyway. There's actually a funny story. There's a course near me, and I had a buddy tell me that the this private club, which is in the sort of Bozeman Big Sky area, apparently many of their members, because it's a course that happens to have a lot of areas to lose balls very easily. It's a pretty well-known course that was featured on the match. But apparently they just sent out an email the other day, which I don't have a physical copy, so I'm not naming the name of the course. But apparently they sent out a notice to all of their members about a new policy. If you are caught using a range ball on the golf course, you're immediately subject to a $1,000. I love that. I just love it, because nothing kind of peeves me more than either A, finding range balls in a random spot that they shouldn't be on the golf course because somebody obviously stole it from the range and is using it, but also with the particular course that I play at, I keep seeing my annual costs go up several $100s a year, and that membership cost every couple of years is then another $1,000, and then another $1,000, because it's a few hundred this year, a few hundred next year. And it's like, some of this stuff, it's breaking the rental clubs, which my fees end up having to pay for in one way or another, or not picking up your clubs, losing clubs, using range balls that then just get lost out on the range that we have to replace. So do not use range. All right. So another one that sort of ties into the ready and quick golf. Most of us don't get any additional value from looking at our putts from four sides of the hole like PGA Tour players do, or don't need a wildly long pre-shot routine just because you see all these guys using aim point and all these different, looks at the hole, and they're conversing with their caddy saying, is it going to break a little left, break a little right? Like, yeah, when you're playing for $1 million on a putt, when you're playing for $1 million on a putt like a PGA Tour pro is, it's a little different pressure. When you are out there with your buddies, you're probably not going to need the four-sided walk. Sure, if you're on a 3-footer and you guys have a little money game going, take a look. But too many times I see people looking at putts from 30 feet plus. I've been in tournaments where this is one of the slower tournament rounds, and we were put on pace of play notice because of this particular person I played with, and I really hope I don't get paired with him in the coming tournaments that I have. But 90-foot putt, 45-foot putt, 4 ways, using aim point. Like, with those long putts, you're not gonna gain that much, where your putting is probably not that good that you're gonna be, and the greens are probably not that good that whatever you're looking at is gonna make or break you making that putt. Give it a good look. Figure out how to identify the zone to lag it up and leave it for that 2-putt finish. Like, you're gonna be luckier than not. If you look at PGA Tour make percentages and Golf Digest and all the other golf publications, they put out these stats consistently about what make percentages are for amateur golfers, and you're probably not going to increase your chances by that much by spending 5 minutes looking at a 90-foot putt. So lag it up, walk away with a 2-putt as a win. All right. The next one, which I guess is number 9 on my list. I haven't been even counting them as numbers, but number 9 would be max scores from the USGA on your casual rounds. So for me, as a 2 handicap, a double bogey is pick up and go. They do this for pace of play. Basically, you have a stroke max that they've calculated, spent a lot of time, analyzed a lot of data. Really, they basically say, hey, if you max out, or if you take a higher than a double bogey, that's your max. Pick the ball up, walk on to the next hole. If you're newer to the game and you're not sure what that is, once you get to twice the par for the hole, pick it up. No need to spend your time slowly making progress, sort of tapping the ball 10, 15 yards. You're just going to frustrate yourself. And it's just going to frustrate you even more. So pick it up, and you can either, if you're playing with a group of people, no harm in just picking it up from the fairway from 150, 200 yards out. If you're not making any progress, drop it up by the green, do a chip, put it on the green, put it out with your friends. You're still practicing, you're still getting better. There's no reason for you to spend time taking 12, 13, 16 strokes on a hole. Maybe the other thing too is you can, if you're having trouble chipping it on the green, and maybe you're chipping it over, chipping it back, bunker to bunker, whatever, if you can't get it out of the bunker, throw it out of the bunker. Keep play moving and go practice bunker shots another day in the range, in the practice facility. But throw it up there onto the green, putt. Obviously, I'm talking about this for newer golfers. So for those of you that are, more serious with the game, don't come at me for making these suggestions, because I also would make, and I'll make another suggestion. And that'll be the bonus. So stay tuned to the end, and I'll give you a bonus tip. for improving as a new golfer and enjoying it a little bit more. So the next one, number 10, don't walk in people's lines on the putting green. Though this is getting less of an issue, to be perfectly frank, with so many spikeless shoes, it still remains bad form to walk in front of somebody's line. The other thing too is like, I mean, I'll say it kind of in jest or whatever when I'm playing with new golfers that freak out and go, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Like, just think about how many people have walked in front of your line any given day on a public course as the day goes. Like, one person stepping in front, sure, a fresh, like, spiked step mark, especially if you have soft spikes or something that might uneven the ground or, kick up the turf a little bit. Sure. But that's why, it's just as you play with more people, don't stand in their line if you're, trying to finish out a putt and like their ball marker is there or whatever. Like, inquire, see where I can stand or whatever. But just don't walk in somebody's line. Try to avoid it. Step over the line. Give a wide enough step over, especially if they're on a long putt. But yeah, spikeless shoes have kind of helped with this quite a bit. Big last one, number 11. Have fun, take it in, play fast, play well. But if you're not playing well, just play poorly fast, so everyone can be in and under a 4-hour round, if not a 3.5, or faster. We're not going to set speed golf championships or anything like that. That's not what we're going for. But keeping the pace of play moving, where people aren't standing, waiting, getting backed up, having two groups waiting on a tee to tee off or on a par 3, or people waiting for you to get off the green on every shot or waiting for you on every shot. Best golf is you see the people in the distance, maybe like hitting their next shots, but most of the time you're stepping up the tee, you're hitting, everybody's going, group behind you, when they get up to the tee, they're able to step up, hit, and you're already finished with your second shot and on the green, and they're hitting their second shot as you're clearing the green, and there's like this comfortable pace and there's a comfortable spacing between groups, and that's the ideal way to manage this. So definitely recommend both. So all right, last thing I'm gonna give you, and this is the bonus tip. So the bonus tip for today's episode is for new golfers, and I've been playing with some people a little bit more and I've heard this from other people, so it's not my original, but because some of you might be listening to this and you're just getting in and might not have seen this before, don't be afraid as a new golfer to not play by the strict rules. You can learn to play by the strict rules as you get better. When you're getting out on a real golf course for the first time or the first few times, it's not very easy for you to go to the golf range if that's all your experience has been to date. Obviously, if you can get out on like a par 3 course or something that's short and made for beginners, it's a great starting point to get to learn the game and all that kind of stuff. But if you're out on a full-size golf course for the first time, definitely play the front tees. Also, don't feel like you even have to play the front tees. Like, I see people on some long par 5s, even from the forward tees. Even some people as they age, where they're not hitting the ball the same distance they used to when they were younger, they'll tee off at sort of like their own tee box that they make up, and they'll go 100 yards in front of the forward tees, and they'll tee off in that spot because they're going to enjoy the game more. They're not ever going to, hit a 250-yard drive to still give them 250 yards in, which is still going to be, 3 shots in. Like, it's going to be a 10-shot hole from a 500-yard par 5. So don't be afraid to tee it up in the fairway either. So this is one of the things that I started to tell friends that are just starting out with golf. Like, if you're going to tee off from the forward tees and you get up there and sure, you hit it 120 yards, you still have like another 300 some yards to the green. Go ahead, tee it up again, practice that driver shot, tee it up and get yourself into a range where you can start to hit your irons. And then when you have your irons, if you're in the rough or something, don't be afraid to also sort of like prop it up. You're just learning how to play the game. If you have a buried rough lie and you're just learning the mechanics of how to swing a club, like you're introducing so many new factors into the game of golf that you just need to prop it up and hit it. Like, you're not playing for money at this point. Yes, know that this isn't the way that you're always going to play golf, but when you're just getting started and just getting into the game and you're still working on mechanics and how to hit the ball consistently, and don't top balls out of the rough just because that's where your ball can go. That said, if it's some of your first rounds too and you haven't ever really played out of the rough much, don't be afraid to just pick it up, move it into better grass, and move it onto the fairway. Hit it off the fairway where you're going to be able to get club contact and be consistent. Like, you don't have the swing mechanics to power through the rough like that necessarily. Don't be afraid to tee it up. Don't be afraid to fluff up your lies a little bit. And don't be afraid to pick up the ball a little bit and play from where the other people that might be better than you are playing from. There's no harm in saying, instead of topping this ball 10 times to go 100 yards to get to my friend who's up in front, like, just pick up the ball, go up to them, again, tee it up or give yourself a nice lie, hit that shot, practice, move forward. Like, hitting 300 shots on the course is not going to make you a better player. Hitting 120 well thought out, focused shots on the course, even if you're putting them up on the tee, on irons or whatever, it gives you a little extra margin for error when you're hitting the ball, because you're going to be more likely to not hit the ground first, or you're going to have a little bit more room to get under the ball versus, you're not used to powering through to take a divot and take a divot efficiently, like golfers that have been playing for a while. So hopefully those added little bonus tips help you get started. I really am excited to see so many people getting into the game. And, I think it's just one of those things where understanding a lot of these basics, and especially if you haven't grown up with the game or had, as a child, parents teaching you the game, like when you're going out with friends at that bachelor party or the wedding party or the bachelorette or whatever that is, the person that plays golf is going to be like, well, I'm playing for the blue tees. And then the other people that kind of play golf are like, I'm playing for the blue tees too. And you're like, I've never really played a golf course. And so there you are, just topping the ball along and just making 10, 15-yard shot progress all day long. And it's slowing up everybody else. You're not having fun. And like, it just makes for a tie. So keep the pace of play. Be aware of these things so that as you're playing with other people that might not know the rules either, maybe I should title this episode Rules for Wedding Parties, Bachelorette, and Bachelor Parties on the golf course. But I'll probably keep it as the new course. But hope this is all helpful. And as we wrap up today's episode, I want to thank you for listening. I would appreciate you supporting all of my partners and sponsors and using those links where I will earn a little bit of a fee. You'll see no additional cost yourselves. It just helps me. Actually, with many of those, you actually get a discount on top of that. With Red Rooster Gloves and Galway Bay and some of these others, you get discounts. Wilderness and Born. I get a little thank you kickback for wearing their stuff, which I do anyway. So it's kind of like thank you. I just have to talk about it a little bit. Go get some merch so that when you're on the course, you look like a golfer. So go get a hat, go get a Holderness and Born shirt, pants, dress the look. And then be sure to subscribe, share the podcast with your friends. If you have new golfer friends and you're an experienced golfer, be sure to share this with those new golfers in your life, and you'll help them get up to speed. So have a great day, everybody, and I will hopefully see you all out on the course. I'm heading off for tournament play this week, so wish me luck. That concludes today's episode of A Good Walk Spoiled, Adventures in Golf, hosted by Scott Ponywaz. That's myself. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, rate it high, and follow us on Instagram at pony_golf to stay in the loop. We'll catch you next time.